Faith is not clean. It is not a Sunday best pressed white dress with a ribbon to tie it all together. Faith does not show up early for the service and recite its liturgy verbatim to meet a quota. Faith is not the wind. Stop saying it is an unseen yet objectively true certainty where we can see its effects in the rustling of the leaves or in the bending of the trees. I have struggled to tell you what faith is. I have strained to reach the top shelf for an illustration. I have swung my hands violently in a dark room to grab onto an object that isn't slippery or evaporates as soon as it is held, but my God, I can tell you what fear is. Fear is split wrists who wish the pain would sink past the skin and blood vessels and nestle to the parts of her being that have felt nothing in months. Fear is the irremovable cloak of self-loathing, like a hunter poaching and pouncing, never announcing the one night you thought no one would see would whisper taunts without end. Fear is the invisible chains that will not let you leave your bed, or the unseen hand that presses your chin to stare blankly at the wall for hours and hours, or the stone attached to your foot so that you will not leave the accelerator because maybe if you drive a few more miles, the questions will get tired of chasing you. Fear is another diagnosis. More letters attached to your files and more numbers to quantify your frailty and more meds you do not want to swallow. And if there isn't yet a cure for the unknowns that pierce your body, then maybe giving up would be a quicker cure. The fear we face is not fleeting. It is not a jump scare or a fast bullet or a loud screech. If we have experienced the permanence of fear, maybe we should stop comparing faith to something so clean as Sundays, so fickle as the wind. Lately, I have found my faith crawling at an impossibly slow pace. I feel the calluses thicken and I've felt anger settle in the cracks. Faith, instead, is letting your heart rip open again. It is tearing through the calluses to acknowledge a God you feel has caused more scars than peace. Faith, instead, is grieving. It is weeping even deeper than others because the restoration needs manifestation all the more as the day draws near. Faith, instead, is acknowledging. It is acknowledging the character of a God you feel has violated you with silence, choosing to sift for intimacy in a lack of answers. Faith is for the skeptic and the sufferer, for the emotionless and the emotional. Faith is possible for the meek and the poor in spirit, because in the midst of our often spiteful faithlessness, God has not forgotten us. He wrapped his faithfulness in flesh and swallowed fear in our faithlessness. His body was torn and his blood was shed in our faithlessness. He claimed my sin when I was too afraid to leave the dark. My eyes these days seem dimmer and dimmer, and the fear on my skin seems thicker and thicker, but the cross-shaped heart in my chest beats to a resurrection rhythm, and I cower my body inward to feel if the life is still there. For a faith so fickle and frail, my inadequacy often turns to self-despair. I want to want this more. I desire to have the kind of faith that raises its hand during the bridge of a song or quotes verses in the midst of pain. I want a faith that laughs more and celebrates more and sings louder more, but thank God, he accepts my mustard seeds. He exchanges my whispers for a hope that cannot be stolen or stripped or slighted or swept away. Though I long to be free of fear, I have faith there is freedom yet in the middle of fear. Faithfulness had flesh, and someday he will take us home.